I'll be so off. I'm like, oops, sorry, my bad. Sorry, Ganify me. Oops, sorry, sorry. Let's go. Smooth 98.1 Love Music, Love Life. Thank you very much for staying tuned on your smoothest dial on radio. It's now 7:30 a.m. and time for today's edition of Freshly Pressed 981. I am Ayo Myro Essay. On today's show, we have our analysts. I mentioned them earlier on. I mentioned that we would be having today Mr. C. Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning, Aya. Good morning, Lagos.
Great to have you on the show. And we have Wade Ahime. Morning, Wade. How are you today?
I'm good. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning, Lagos. Good to be here.
Excellent. Now, if you'd like to join the conversation, we're live on YouTube. So head on to YouTube. You can use the chat box to send a message whilst you're watching. And it's youtube.com. Search for Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Before you leave, if you haven't, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you know when we come online for any of our segments. And then if you'd like to send us a WhatsApp message, you can do so by sending your message to 0809 444 Again, that's 0809 444 Right, who's going first? Mr. C?
He has all the juicy stories.
He has all the juicy stories. Police warns against NSAS anniversary protest in Nigeria. The Lagos State Police Command said an intelligence report has revealed plans by some groups to hold an NSAS anniversary protest. In a statement signed by its spokesman Adekunle Ajishebutu, the command stated that Lagos State and Nigerians cannot afford another NSAS protest. They said the spokesman said people should believe the distasteful experience of last year's protest, which caused pain, anguish, needless loss of lives, and wanton destruction of public and private property. We're back again to this discussion, debate, Mr. C, as with regards to NSAS protests being violent. Was it really violent? Do the people have a right to peaceful protest? What the responsibilities of law enforcement agencies like the police, with regards to that? Is this blackmail? Is this holding up or holding the rights or restricting, put it away, the rights of Nigerians to protest and freedom? Please take us to the story.
Okay, thank you, Aya. So the Lagos State Police Command has come out with this statement, and for me, I will share my thoughts in the following order. Again, we're thrown back to the military era where the authorities believe that protests cannot happen voluntarily. And the Supreme Court has ruled on this, that in line with the constitutional provisions on fundamental human rights, Nigerians have the right to gather in a place to express their opinions. That having been said, they are suggesting rather strongly that they will not allow any protest to commemorate last year's NSAS protest. Now, this is very sad and disappointing from the police, especially as they have referred to the violence that ensued last year. Now, as we're all aware, the panel that was set up to investigate and determine the causes of the shooting and the violence that ensued last year and identify the perpetrators has not concluded its sitting.
True.
Now, the police is being funny by suggesting that the violence that occurred happened because Nigerians peacefully protested against the atrocities being committed by the defunct Special Anti-Robbery Squad. The violence that ensued is up for debate depending on what side of the divide you belong to or what school of thought you're persuaded by. But we must all remember that when that protest started, up until the 20th of October, there was peace because people were going there to support the protesters. Now, that having been said, my advice to young Nigerians is do not go out. The police, the perpetrators of last year's violence have still not been fished out. We're still not sure what really happened the official account is still uncertain,
Yeah.
and our thoughts go out to the families of everyone who died in last year's violence. And no amount of money, no amount of God spending can do it.
Yeah.
Let's not add to the tally this year. Yes, we're upset, but we'll have the best opportunity to make our thoughts and our voices known in the election coming up in 2023, when we can then properly and hopefully bring in leaders that for the first time are fully accountable to the Nigerian people.
Thank you very much. So, like the police have said, they said to forestall breakdown of law and order, the police will use all legitimate means within their constitutional powers to suppress the planned protest. And so, in Mr. C's words, we can channel that energy to 2023. So maybe in a suggestion for an anniversary to mark the anniversary of the 20th of October 2020 might be a good idea to find ways to think as to how we can make leadership and government better in Nigeria. So mental strength, mental protest rather than physical. All right, Damilola Olawi from Ikeja says, I hope the Commissioner of Police shows this kind of energy dealing with his personnel accused of various crimes and human rights abuses. Emma Akpan says, President, okay, I'm going to take Emma Akpan's comment when we take the story related to his views. Right, Wadi, I'll come to you. Buhari approves 13.3 billion naira for takeoff of community policing initiative. This report is in the Premium Times. The President has approved that sum for the takeoff of the community policing initiative across the country. He made this known at the opening of a two-day midterm ministerial performance review retreat organized to assess progress made towards the achievement of the 9 key priorities of his administration on Monday in Abuja. He has announced that the Ministry of Defense, had been instructed to create a modest military industrial complex for the local production of weapons to meet some of the requirements of the country armed forces. So a number of announcements there, especially with regards to security. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay, so first and foremost, good initiative, but the police community initiative has been successful. It has become, we had the story of the incident, it has become fractured because of the fact that the community itself doesn't trust the police. The police are not sure enough to make the community trust them. This initiative that the community putting it's something that's going to help the police and the community come together towards ensuring that the level of security improves across the country. The second part for me, which is the Ministry of Defense being the best military industrial complex for local production. It beats me that a country, and I have to say this, a country that fought the Civil War and had gone through so many things in terms of producing arms and ammunition to fight the war. We've seen this from so many other countries where many years after, 51 years, just talking about having a complex on the camp. It's amazing. Countries military, we know that in countries, one of the largest group that has human capital assets, especially when it comes to engineering and medicine, is the military, because the kind of training that they have. So if we've gone 50 years after, we're just talking about building an industrial complex, using making local arms to fight to combat insecurity, and it's a shame for me. Why? Because what has happened over the last 20 years, our military has been disintegrated to the level whereby some people need to provide security for Nigeria. So a number of announcements that have been good initiative. However, I hope this is just not from our facade. Putting up an announcement asking where's this complex, where is it, or how many things have been produced and so on and so on. So I hope
All right, thank you very much, Wadi. Sean says, what's in the world is a mental protest. Well, I'm thinking against you in my head. The reason these guys are getting away with every single thing is because no one is speaking up against them and Nigerians will get pushed to the wall and find a way to break the law just to move the platforms for protest. Right, I just looked for a word to coin that. Maybe JJ would better help me to explain. JJ said my suggestion, like I said, should be more mental. Let us focus on getting our PVCs, more calculated protests. So thank you, JJ, for understanding my perspective. And yeah, thank you, Shane, as well, for sharing your thoughts. It was really just use that phrase. Obviously, there's nothing comprehensive in protest. But in terms of towing the line of what Mr. Steve said, that you have to be tactical. If you don't fall for the bait and be destroyed in the process. We have made a very strong point as a young people, as a group of young people. Of course, ultimately the decision is yours. However, like we said, it is a suggestion that perhaps you think about the loss that could happen and go back to the table, re-strategize, and still make your voices heard. And perhaps in a more powerful way by ensuring that you take active part in the governance and the process of governance through electioneering, through putting your people out there and having a voice out. Do you understand? So that's what I mean. I'm not saying don't protest. Alright, let's go on to our next word, Mrs. C. Alright, this one, Osinbajo criticizes CBN's forex policies, premium times. So, this morning during Business Express 9, we had an extensive conversation about this. So if you want to check that out, you can look for the video on YouTube. And let me give a summary of what's happened, and then I'll back to get your thoughts and perspective and of course thoughts about this. Vice President Osinbajo has criticized the foreign exchange policy adopted by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Mr. Osinbajo advised the bank to have a rethink about its current forex demand management strategy. In his opinion, he said the exchange rate is artificially low and does not reflect the current market realities. Now, beyond what he said, what makes it even more interesting is that it goes away from the stance of the president, who has always been, I think he described him as a socialist. So please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The Vice President's comments are just proof that there's a growing disconnect in our society between the President and his vice. And it also supports the view of the school of thought which has suggested for a while now that he's not being consulted on some of the moves being made by the federal government. Now, we've all known for a very long time that CBN forex policy is nonsense or plain nonsense. Now, the Nigerian naira is not properly valued against the US dollar. They keep on screaming every day they want foreign investors to come. The foreign investors are not. They're smart people, right? You tell them that if you bring in your US dollars, we're only going to give you 410 naira. But they know that if they go to the nearest black market malam or even a BDC, they can get 570.
Yeah.
Why will they lose 150 naira, 160 naira because you say your exchange rate is 410? And for as long as it remains 410, we're discouraging people from coming in. Now, why is the CBN reluctant to remove all these disparities in foreign exchange windows and have only one unified rate for the Nigerian naira against foreign currencies? Now, whether we like it or not, there are a group of Nigerians who have benefited from the multiple exchange windows, and that has to stop. Nigeria is currently facing a situation where we do not have enough foreign currency in circulation, and the demand outstrips the supply. So then we might be heading to 700. With ministries and agencies. For example, the CBN goes into agriculture. Why is the CBN not liaising with the Ministry of Agriculture? Ministry of Trade and Investment for the medium, small scale enterprises. CBN is talking to the business directly.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? There's so much confusion going on. And the vice president, incidentally, is supposed to be the head of the economic management team. And a CBN governor is supposedly a member of that team. So why is he not taking directions and coordination from his principal?
All right. Thank you, Mr. C. Now, this was the big conversation this morning was the powers of the VP. And some people said, oh, it's audio. He's just going to speak and nothing happens, sound bites, but let me use that. I think that's the one that people are more familiar with. Sound bites, we hear this, and like you mentioned rightly, Mr. C, if he is the coordinator of the economy, then this should come under his purview. However, it doesn't seem to be as if he has powers to effect change to that extent without the president's buy-in. And obviously, these are two diverse views.
Okay, so they're correct in saying that they sound like sound bites, right? But this stems from the problem with the 99 Constitution. The 99 Constitution relegates the position of the vice president, relegates the position of the deputy governor to that of glorified houseboys. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to say this.
To be fair, though,
But-
Mr.
but,
C, it's not just in it's not just in Nigeria. I mean, how
It's all over the
two
world.
ships two captains cannot steer a ship. There has to be a captain.
Yeah.
No. So we're not saying there shouldn't be a captain. However, the way it is done here, and because of the overbearing conduct and attitude of the principals, namely the presidents and the governors, the vice presidents and the deputy governors are made to look like they're almost irrelevant. So, because of our peculiar circumstances, maybe in the constitution, certain roles should be given to them.
I beg to differ, and why I beg to differ is this: if you've been given an assignment and you are the head of the economic team, then you should be able to work with your principal to ensure that the things that you believe or the economic team believes that should be done is what should be done. But we should also remember that every principal has his own agenda also.
Yes.
And how do you come in consonance with that? By ensuring that the kind of policies you want to put in place towards achieving what the goals are being put in place. So that's where the balance needs to be. And I don't think that balance has been struck. And there could be so many reasons for it. And so sometimes it becomes an issue of, first and foremost, like you said, CBN is meant to be independent.
Yeah.
But technically for me, what they're becoming a commercial bank.
Yeah.
They are playing in agriculture, they are playing in SM. Create these policies, and it comes back to what I always say: government has no business in doing business.
All right.
And that's it.
Thank you very much. I think also, like I think you just mentioned, if the principal would trust whoever he has put in charge, or just like saying having a minister for education, for instance, and then the education minister has a stance on how things should be run, and then the president thinks of it. At the end of the day, it's what the president says. He's one that employed the minister. But yeah, let's take some comments from our audience. Tune says, please ask Mr. C if he thinks the black market rate will stay at 570 naira if the CBN floats the naira today and make it sell at, say, 570 naira. Would the black marketers adjust their own rates upward immediately because of the peculiar nature of our greed?
I don't think they will. It's an issue of demand and supply.
Okay.
We don't have the supply. What the CBN is trying to do is boost our foreign reserves, because it needs to be at a particular level for us to continue to do business with other parts of the world.
Okay.
And that's what they're doing.
All right. Thank you very much.
I just want to add something quickly. So the 4 billion euro bond issue that was recently successful, that should bring in some respite, because $4 billion will enter into circulation.
Okay.
But beyond that, like Wade rightly said,
Yeah.
until we get in more dollars, because the situation we have right now is you have a lot of demand, very little supply. So once you can sort of bridge the supply and demand to almost equal levels, then you will see a corresponding drop in the value of the dollar against the naira.
Thank you. All right. So Yemi says it's sad that the vice president would come out and make such a statement. What he has done is to directly preach against his artificial rates. Business-minded people know that when someone of his caliber makes such statements, the market reacts. Ask Zuckerberg and Dorsey. God bless Nigeria. All right, let's go on to our next story. Wade. Research workers begin indefinite strike tomorrow, alleged misuse of COVID-19 funds. It's that last part, Wade, that got my attention the most. Guardian newspaper, because one to think, oh, another strike, another group, another strike. But when you see what they're agitating for, then you can quite understand their position. So workers in 63 research institutes nationwide are to begin indefinite strike tomorrow. This came as the bodies in the research institutes, and they mentioned, they list them here, say that they've accused the federal government of deliberately frustrating local production of COVID-19 vaccine through inadequate funding of research institutes across the federation. They said specifically, they said they are frittering away money that was mobilized to combat COVID-19 by the organized private sector and business community. Can't COVID anyone? Remember, obviously, we know the coalition against COVID-19 by private sector leaders. What's your take on this? This is a big indictment.
This it's a disgrace, and I'll tell you why it's a disgrace. If you understand the history of research in Nigeria, then you know that the Nigerian research teams are some of the best that you have in the world. They go anywhere, you know that they are first class. So it's a shame that over the last, and I continue to say this, over the last 50, 60 years, we have just turned research into what nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it, why I say that is this. Look at, for instance, today Malaysia, Indonesia are the number one producers of palm oil in the world. The seeds for the short palm were actually developed in Nigeria.
Mm.
So what exactly are we doing? When we don't invest in research and development, where do you think you're going to get to? Nations who want to move forward invest in research and development. It's a shame that Nigeria is not among the forefront of those who are trying to produce a COVID vaccine. And that for me is, if what they say is true, £1 billion that could have gone into research, we have enough. A lot of the countries today in Asia are beginning to develop their own vaccines, because some of these things are also peculiar to the structure of what you have, and you can get them from, whether it's from leaves or from, and all those things need to be properly researched over time. And we have become a country where we export some of our best brains to go work in research institutes across the world and develop some of the best things, and this is what we have. It's a huge shame, and if they go on strike, well, I guess is another, like we say, is another union that wants to press its points.
Well, one of the Secretary Generals of the unions, thank you very much, Wade, Theophilus Ndubuaka, makes a very good statement. He said that Nigeria ought to be epicenter of research on coronavirus in Africa. Why? He said because the COVID-19 in Nigeria is where the rate of penetration is lowest. So there should be a proper research done as to why, what could possibly be the reason. A number of people have said many things. Oh, it's because of our weather, because of the malaria.
Nobody really knows.
But nobody knows. There's no concrete evidence as to why, and that should certainly be something that should put us on the map. Mr. C.
Very quickly, to add to what they said, the individuals who were meant to administer these funds, who is speaking to them to account for their inaction?
Yeah.
This culture of impunity cannot be allowed to continue.
Absolutely. Cornelius Magbara says, good morning all. Did I hear industrial complex for building ammunition? Why setting up Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria since 1964? Were they to produce table salt only? Our rulers, he thinks, are confused. All right, Mrs. C, I'm going to take two stories back to back because they're quite related. We're going to the energy sector here. And the first story is from The Guardian. Energy crisis set to push petrol, diesel prices over 350 naira per litre. This news has set to filter in even from yesterday. And then the other one is on cooking gas. 12.5 kilograms cooking gas refilling unit may hit 10,000 naira before December, marketers warn. Please take us through the stories.
Okay, so these are very dire times for Nigerians, and the forecast doesn't look good. Now, as we're all aware, the price of Nigerian Brent crude, which started at around $30 per barrel early in the year, is now hitting $83 per barrel. So yes, we would say yippee, that means more money, more revenue for the federal government, more revenue for the state, so that when they share the money, more money can be spent on capital expenditure. Ideally, that should be the case, but here it's not the case, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
First and foremost, with the increase in the price of crude oil, remember we're not refining crude oil in Nigeria. For whatever reason, the authorities seem to be happy with their situation. So the landing cost of petrol in Nigeria is now 219 naira per liter. But how much is it sold for? 165. Between 162.50 and 165. That means the differential is being borne by the NNPC.
Yeah.
Now, in 2020, the federal government did say that it had removed the subsidy on petrol products. Then it then says recovery, some product recovery or some nonsense term they gave it. Long story short, there was no provision in the budget for it, but the NNPC has spent close to 1 trillion now subsidizing the price of petrol. Now, where does that leave us? One of the unintended effects is that the price of petrol is estimated to go to 350 naira per liter. Now, yes, that is a significant jump, almost 100% increase. But then again, if you take any of our neighbors surrounding Nigeria, we're still below the prices in any of those other countries. So there's still some sort of subsidy. But what does that portend for the average Nigerian? Energy costs are going to go up. And energy accounts for about 30% of the costs of any business in Nigeria today. So if the manufacturing industries have to increase their energy costs, guess what? The quantity of the product being sold will reduce, the price will go up. This will affect the average Nigerian. Now, the average artisan or shop owner who's trying to make ends meet, when the public power supply is erratic or poor or absent, has to resort to petrol. With the resort to petrol, at 350, a lot of businesses will be killed. A lot of people are going to be sent into poverty. Now, with the rise in petrol, liquefied petroleum gas may hit 10,000. Why? We introduced VAT of 7,500 on
7.5%.
7.5%. Why? Our energy policy seems to be confused, uncoordinated, and it's just pretty unsettling.
Who's responsible for this?
Now, the NNPC,
The government.
the government through its agencies, the NNPC, now we have the midstream, downstream, upstream commissions. You have the body that replaced the DPR. You have the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. We should have a clear, articulate energy policy. Sadly, we don't. Now, if there's an increase, already diesel is 350 now.
Yeah.
That already affects the big businesses.
Yeah.
And when costs continue to rise, they will seek to reduce costs in some areas. Guess what? The first place to be targeted will be recurrent expenditure. Employees will lose their jobs.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve. Still talking on VAT and what we should tax and not tax. We have the next headline here, or the Guardian reports that customs restores VAT, multiple charges on imported aircraft spare parts. About 3 months after the implementation of zero value added tax on commercial aircraft and spare parts, the Nigerian Customs Service has allegedly restored the collection of 7.5% VAT and sundry charges from operators.
I'll be brief on this because when I saw that and I went to open the Finance Act 2020 and Section 39, which amendment of the second schedule says, airlines registered in Nigeria and providing commercial air transport services are entitled to duty-free importation of their aircraft, engines, spare parts, and components, whether purchased or leased. Now, what the custom department is trying to do is get airlines to register the parts and the things that they want to buy. I don't know how that works. It's like you telling me that I should register the part of my car that will get spoiled at the beginning of the year, so I don't pay the mechanic. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the mechanic will give me what's it called, depending on what the price is today, and it's ridiculous if this is what is happening.
Yeah.
And if the act says no VAT on these things, then there should be no VAT.
So what's the implication of introducing the 7.5% VAT on this?
It's
the
illegal.
government is
It's
broke.
illegal, first of all.
It's illegal one.
Beyond
but
that, I mean to the end user for aircraft, especially.
prices will go up.
Yeah, just wanted to point that out so people
Prices will
understand.
go up.
Yeah.
They're just looking for every way to bring in additional money, and so this is what is being done. Prices will go up. We've seen the effect of 7.5 on gas. Gas that was how much? It was 3,500.
3,400.
At maybe February,
It's
March.
now being sold for 7.5.
My friend Eka bought it recently at 7.5.
I bought gas at 7.5.
All right. Thank you so very much. The final headline story, which we wouldn't be able to get into the details of, is that EFCC, from the chairman, Abdul Rashid Bawa, has explained why they are implementing asset declaration for bank executives. He says it's not because it's not a witch hunt. It's just really that they found out that there's a slew of corrupt activities going on in the banking sector, and they want to put a stop to it. So for me, the question I would have asked, it's just that we don't have time, is that have we finished dealing? Have we finished dealing with what we have on hand? We want to add a few more. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to want to sanitize the banking industry. It's just that, just like what we said about the first or second headline.
We haven't sanitized.
That's not what they're called to do.
All right, let's take this further. During Lagos Talks 981, obviously we have a number of things to get through, and I know that some people have things to say, especially with regards to the police's response to the planned protest in commemoration of 1 year after the October 2020 unfortunate incident with the NSARS, and then at the toll gate, and then a few others around the price of gas, the Vice President's statement on forex, and a few other things. Let's talk in a few minutes during Lagos Talks 981. Thank you very much, Mr. C, and thank you very much, Wadi Ahimie.
Thank you for having us in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The headlines, the stories, the news.
Now you understand why I didn't want to talk about this.
You told me to turn off.
Ayo knows that I've been dodging them for the
You've
last.
been dodging them.
You know, yeah, you